Hello, and welcome back to the Journal Report. Following a pretty dismal game against St Mirren, which we started without a recognised striker and then proceeded to bring one on, but not the other because apparently he'd stubbed his toe or something. We thought now might be a really opportune time actually to look at some potential strikers Rangers could go out and sign. We've known probably since the start of the window, Scotty, that we've needed a striker, I think it's fair to say. I don't think any fans truly confident in our current options. And that was before the season started. I think the evidence since only strengthens that need. Would you agree?
100%, Dave. We've needed a striker since Alfredo Morelos left. We have not had a striker good enough within the striking department at Rangers that can fill the void, so to speak. That can fill the void. Are you still there? So I think the striker's something that's really, really badly needed. And I think me and you are on agreement as to some of the strikers at Rangers. Mostly, anyway.
We're entirely in agreement, mate.
And I think some of the options we've got today are decent. They're good.
Aye, I'd agree with that. Right, let's dive into it. So, first up on the list is Afimiko Palulu. So he's from the DR Congo, and he's currently playing in the Ekstraklasa, or the Polish Premier League. Just looking at him from last season, so he played 30 games, 10 goals, conversion rate of 19.6, 4.1 touches in the opposition box. Do you know what? It'd be nice to have a striker that got in the opposition box for us, but dribbles 58%, passing accuracy 79.1 as well, which isn't bad actually for an offensive player. So, Scotty, what are you seeing here?
For what I have seen, he's a very small, stocky striker. He's got a good bit of pace, good hold-up play. Obviously, the only thing I would question about him is the level he's playing at, and I think that's a kind of warranted, not a criticism, but it's a warranted query, I would say. He's got a good left foot on him. He hits all the penalties for his team as well. He's got a good conversion rate of 19.6%. I think our top last season was Dessers on 20. He's got a fair amount of touches in the opposition box. He's a small, stocky, physical player, and you know what, Dave? It's a type of striker that we've not had in a long time. In the sense, somebody with a bit of pace that can get in behind, ruffle a few feathers. He's a decent option.
I think what's interesting there, you mentioned Alfredo Morelos, and everything that you're talking about with the physicality side, quite small, stocky, able to shove his arse in and bounce defenders off him. All of that sounds like Morelos, but I think maybe the one thing Morelos didn't have was pace. So if this guy gives you what Morelos did, plus a bit of pace on the top, that's got to be a good start for me. Certainly better than our current options.
Aye, definitely, mate. Definitely.
So, here, this is where it's going to go downhill, by the way, Scotty, so I will try not to butcher these as much as I can, but next up on the list is Bamidele Yusuf. He's Nigerian, and he's currently plying his trade in the Serbian Superliga. Now, he's 24, he's quite young. Again, a few years development, then into his prime, potentially. He's under contract until the end of June 2027, 5'10". So again, he's not a big lad. Another reasonably short one. He's currently valued at €2 million. Played 34 games last season, 15 goals, 2 assists, and a conversion rate of 22.4%. So obviously a bit higher, like you were talking about, than our best last season. 4.1 touches in the opposition box again. So again, he's in and about there. 64.6% dribble success rate. So, what do you think of this one, Scotty?
He's got a wee bit of everything. For what I can see on him, he's got a good header. He's a threat in the opposition box. He's left-footed. He's actually got a wee trick or two up his sleeve as well. Obviously, with his age being 24, it's not the finished article. There's a decent value there. He likes to rough his centre backs up a wee bit, which I quite like. He's very composed
I
in
think you
front of
need a
goal
wee
as
bit
well.
of that in Scotland, though, eh?
You need a lot more than a wee bit, mate. You need a lot more than a wee bit. He's
Well,
very good at kind of dragging taking the ball for the touchline as well. It doesn't like you just sit in the box, even though I would quite like a striker that just stayed in the box a wee bit more. But he kind of floats around out with the box and gets involved in the build-up play. Now, see, if you were looking at his today against St Mirren, I think that's why Asgard was put in there to get us up the park a wee bit more. It's all down to opinion whether that pass or failed, but as we say, that's for another pod. But he's very good. He's very quick with his feet as well.
it's not bad. And again, I think quick feet, physicality, key attributes for domestic football in Scotland. All right, next on the list, right? This just completes the list for me. So next up, we have a Croatian attacker. What more do you need? What more do you need at Rangers? So this is Sandro Kulenovic. He's Croatian. He's playing in the Croatian Premier League at the minute. Currently valued at 4 million. He's a wee bit bigger than the last few at 6'3". He's under contract until the end of June 2027. Reasonably similar stats to Yusuf that we looked at before. So 15 goals, good aerial duel rate, so 46.1%, which isn't bad at all for an attacker. 22.4% conversion rate. Now, I know it feels like these are just going up, 0.1 or 1.0 or whatever, but clearly that does make a difference. And, you called out Dessers on a 20% conversion rate last season. How often are fans sitting there raging at the chances that he's missed on 20%? So might not be masses, but the more that you can get in that area, the better. 4.2 touches in the opposition box, so 0.1 of a touch more, which, could be important, and a 76.7% passing accuracy. So that suggests that not only can he take the ball in, he can bring others into play quite well without any major issues. What do you reckon of Kulenovic then, Scotty?
He's a completely different option to what we've got. He is a very tall, commanding, physical striker who likes to play in the box. He is very good physically, very good at laying off some stuff as well. Good at timing his runs into the box. He's got a tidy finish. He can go left, right, or head. Very, very tidy player, to be honest with you, Dave. And his age at 25, it's not the worst. I've never really signed a bad Croatian, have we? I mean, see if you look at his radars for me hit all the right boxes. Like he's consistently playing matches. He's got a good amount of goals. He's got a good XG, good shots, great conversion rate, all that kind of stuff. I quite like the look of this guy, to be honest with you, mate.
And I think the key one for me, looking at both the radar and the heat map, he looks a lot more a penalty box striker than maybe what we've got. I mean, obviously he can link up play. I'm not saying that he only performs in the penalty box, but that's almost where he seems to come alive, I would suggest, is in that penalty box area, which, it's too long. We've not had a striker that can do that. Okay, so next up on our list, we're not going too far. We're staying in Eastern Europe. And we have Daniel Berligia. So he is Romanian, again, playing in his home Premier Leagues, the Romanian Premier League. 25 again, quite a long contract for Berligia. He's 5 million and through till end of June 2029. So you've got to think it's going to have to be a pretty hefty fee to pry this one loose.
Yeah.
Looking at his key stats, he's played 29 games, 16 goals, 4 assists, 22.2% conversion rate, 6.4% touches per 90 in the opposition box. So that's quite a hefty jump from the last few that we've looked at. 54.5% dribble success rate. So, Scotty Berligia, what do you reckon to this one?
Well, we've seen him against Aberdeen last Thursday. He's got a low centre of gravity. he's almost like a winger playing up front. Is how I would describe this player. Very, very good left peg on him. He's quite balanced on the ball. He can basically score your types of goals with his left foot. The problem is how one-footed is he? Would be my query considering the transfer market value on him there. I mean, he's scored a lot of goals from outside the box, inside the box. We've seen the one he scored against Aberdeen the other day where he right box and it was a tidy enough finish, etc. He's one I wouldn't be against this signing. He likes to play on the shoulder quite a bit, which I'm probably crying out for just now. He can finish with his right foot, so he is both footed, but I think he prefers to cut in onto his left, Dave.
Mm-hmm. I was going to say, looking at his heat map, it almost that kind of looks like what you would expect a Vaclav Černý heat map from last season to look like.
Černy's exactly who it reminds me of.
That winger cutting in. Yeah. Okay, so we're not going far for the next one. We are staying in Romania with Louis Montano. He's also Romanian, again playing in his home Premier League. He's another 5 million player, so they're no cheap in Romania. This one's 23 though, so you've got a bit more kind of development scope in there, I would suggest, before he hits his prime. He's also 6 foot, under contract until the end of June 28. Played 35 games last season, 23 goals and 2 assists. That is not a bad return. 21.9% conversion rate, 4.1 touches in the opposition box, and a 72.8% dribble success rate. So I think for me, before we even talk about anything else, I would suggest from the two Romanians that we've looked at, this one is probably the one that would interest me more. Scotty, take us through Montano.
He is a big clumpy boy. I would say he's a more accomplished finisher than what Bariglia was. He can take the ball in tight spaces and find the corner quite well. Likes a penalty or two as well. He's left and right footed. He's got a good turn of pace on him as well. Looking at him here, Dave. Very strong physically. I would say this boy looks a decent option.
Just looking at his heat map, he looks, again, a bit more like a winger playing as a forward as opposed to, your traditional staying in the box striker.
He's almost what you would call on FM a complete forward. That's what I would say. I could say he would play that role very well.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Okay, next up, well, do you know what? I'm sure the fans across the city will say we cannot do this because they're the only ones that have ever signed a Japanese player, but we've headed over to the J League, and this time we're looking at Taisei Miyashiro. So, obviously Japanese, playing in the J League. There seems to be quite a lot of value there. Even the decent players don't seem to be valued that highly in the J League. This is another one at 1.3 million. He is only under contract until the end of January 26. So you're actually almost approaching that point where you could look at signing him under freedom of contract before long. 25, so not quite in his prime, but not too far off it. 26 games last season, 9 goals, 3 assists, 21.4% conversion rate, 68.4% successful dribbles, and 3.6 touches in the opponent box per 90. Now, I think just before I come to you, Scotty, the one thing that I just need to kind of shout out and sound a bit like a broken record, these radars are based, as it says here, on players in a similar position in the same league. So looking at this radar, this guy looks maxed or thereabouts, but that is against other J League players, so it doesn't necessarily mean that he's a better or worse option than, say, Montano that we just looked at in the Romanian Premier League. Scotty, what do you make of Miyashiro then?
He's a tidy wee player. He's got very good one-touch finishes on the box. He is very good with the ball at his feet as well. He can get himself out of tight situations. And when I mean that, I mean like a low block. He's very good with players in front of him, i.e. defenders. He can still find a way to the goal. I'm trying to think who he reminds me of, but he looks a very a more. I'm trying to think a decent comparison. To be honest with you, he's like a much more complete Nacho Novo, I would say, in a sense of he's got better ball control. There's an off. He can move a wee bit better than what Novo did. He's a wee bit smarter with his movement.
Mm-hmm.
As I say, he can finish with his left, right, his head. It's a fairly decent option at a good price, to be honest with you, mate.
Yeah, and I think it's the price that stands out for me. As I said, there always seems to be a lower value on J League players. Not
Yeah.
entirely sure why that is, but they're very much value for money to be found there. Okay, so moving on, and I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm willing to bet this next guy is probably actually rubbish, and Gordy's only put it in to laugh at me try to say his name, but it is Rafiu Durasinmi. So Durasinmi is Nigerian. He's playing in the Czech Premier League at the minute, actually, for a team that many viewers will know. So currently playing his trade for Pilsen that we just put out in Champions League qualifying, and he scored against us in that second leg. Just looking at his details, so he's only 22, which really good age. Actually, quite a bit of development time there as well before hitting the prime. He's ended June 2026, so basically a year left on his contract. 6'4", but he is valued at 7 million. So there's a very high value there. You've got to think there'd be a fairly significant fee needed to pry him loose, but that position may be strengthened a bit by the fact that he is into that last year of his contract. Just looking at his stats from last season, so he played 16 games, 6 goals, 1 assist, 30% conversion rate, which takes the backside off anyone else that we've seen so far in this list. 4.9 touches per 90 in the opposition box, so I think that's the second highest. And his passing accuracy is 73.6%. Scotty, what do you make of this guy?
He's very good in terms of physically taking the ball off of defenders. He's not fear of using his shoulders to get the ball. Very good in the air. He's a very powerful runner, Dave. Is what I would say. He's got a very good eye for goal. He can finish left foot, right foot. He likes to drop deep as well, but I would say he's in the box when he needs to be. At that value, at £7 million, I would probably say it would be worth it. He's probably going to be my favourite player that we've spoke about so far in terms of options. The boy looks as if he's got the lot, to be honest with you, and he's if he's played for Pilsen for a few years, he's got experience in European football too, which is a big plus. And the Czech league isn't a bad league either. He's a very, very tidy player. Like I say, when he gets the ball and he gets moving, he's not fear of being able to glide past players, create opportunities, as well as score them. So, I really like this boy.
Yeah, and I think, again, just looking at his heat map here, I mean, obviously he does drop and play outside the box, but you can see that significant presence, as you said, at the penalty spot when he needs to be. So clearly kind of has that distinction between when to drop deep and when to actually be in the box. Okay. Next up is Filip Vegeta. So Vegeta is another Czech player, and again playing in the Czech Premier League. Played 29 games last season, 13 goals, 1 assist, 32.5% conversion rate. So those folk out there like me and you, Scotty, that sit here, pulled all our hair out, and now we're bald from watching Dessers play and cutting back. Actually, there is some hope out there. We have got hope. Looking at his touches, 2.8 per 90, so that does suggest maybe not as much as the others. 75.2% accurate pass rate, so again, that suggests that ability to kind of link play to bring others into it. What do you think of Vachetta, Scotty?
He's okay. He's not as impressive as the last boy, but He is. He likes to play on his shoulder. He's very good at timing runs. He's a tidy finisher. He can finish with his right foot. He's definitely got an eye for goal. He's not fear of the physical side of the game either. Very good at putting himself about. Like I say, I think this boy's best attribute is timing runs and finding the space to score goals. I would probably stick with. He's very good at making almost what would seem as a decoy run, and then he still ends up with the ball at his feet and he end up anyway. So decent enough option, but I wouldn't say he's better than the last boy we looked at. Obviously, he's under £1 million, so what you see is what you get in terms of quality. But he's a very good. He's a workhorse. He's very good at making off the ball runs and doing all the unselfish things for the team. And also, David, comparing him to Dessers really quickly, he's good at beating an offside trap and not getting caught offside 20 odd times a match.
Sold. I'll buy him. Forget me. I'll buy him. Right. Okay. I think, jokes aside, the one thing that does stand out to me here is maybe his all-round game isn't huge, but he does the basics of a striker well. So he's near the top of his league on goals, non-pen goals, XG, headed goals. I do notice he's about halfway on the charts on shots, and yet his conversion rate and his goals are just about max. So he might not shoot as much as other people, but when he does shoot, he makes them count, which is a very understated quality for a striker for me. It's all well and good blasting balls, but if you kind of score with them, then what's the point? Okay, next up is Ibrahim Diabate, and he is. Let me have a look. Right, so this one's from the Ivory Coast, currently playing in the Allsvenskan, or the Swedish Premier League. Played 20 games last season, 13 goals, 2 assists, 27.7% conversion rate. So maybe not quite high as Macheta, but still a massive improvement on what we've been seeing at Ibrox the last few seasons. Touches in opposition box, 3.2 per 90, 1.6 recoveries, and 81% passing accuracy. So again, seems very, very capable of bringing others around him into the game. Tell us about this guy, Scotty.
So he is small and nippy, is how I would describe him. I've always had a thing about a striker. I believe they should have pace, finishing. They should be able to play. Big guy, little guy. Just think of that. Like, I'm very old fashioned when it comes to my centre forwards and how I like them. This boy is physical. He's good at doing the work outside the box as well as having a good eye for goal. He's almost got that poacher's element to him. He can score right foot, left foot header. That's a good value at £1 million as well. Not too bad in terms of output.
Yeah, and I think the heat map backs up exactly what you're saying. So he's not afraid to drop back and get involved, but actually the majority of his work happens around the 6-yard line. He's very, very keen to get in there and obviously to score. So next on the list is Daniel Carlsbach. Now, this is a Norwegian striker. Again, playing in his home leagues, the Norwegian Premier League, or Eliteserien, as it's called. 6'3", 22 years old. He is under contract until the end of December 2028, so he's got a wee bit to go on that. Valued at £2.5 million. Now, he played 17 games last season, scored 13 goals, 1 assist. Again, a very healthy conversion rate at 28.9%. 4.8 touches in the opposition box per 90, 2 recoveries per 90, and a 73% passing accuracy here. Better or worse than the other options that we've seen, do you think, Scotty?
He's tall, he's lean, he is... The only thing I would question is the level he's playing at. I think there's been players like Ola Solbakken, for example, who have left the Norwegian League, i.e. from Bodo
Aye.
Glimt, and not really done much since he's left. I think that would be fair to say. He can finish left foot, right foot. He's got a good bit of physicality about him. Very good out with the box as well as in it. He's got a very tidy finish on him. Very good right foot. He likes to curl them into the bottom corner. Likes to place his shots. Very good at timing his runs as well. Decent enough option for me, Dave. The only question I would have, I suppose you could question about all of these guys, is the level they're playing at.
Aye. Aye. No, I think that's fair enough, mate. Well, speaking of levels, how about one that's exactly on our level? Next up, a name I can pronounce and viewers might actually recognise, Kieran Bowie from Hibs. So, 22 years old, under contract until the end of May 2028. 6'2", valued at $1 million. Last season he played 28 games. He got 6 goals, 60% passing accuracy, 3.5 recoveries per 90. So that for me is actually quite up there for an attacker. 48% dribble success rate, 5.2 touches in the opposition box per 90, and might I add, scorer of a wonder goal in their recent European game. Scotty, Kieran Bowie, I know you're high on the guy. Tell us why.
He's got the lot. He's got the lot, mate. He can physically rough up this league. He knows the league. He's Scottish. He is young. He's got bags and bags of potential. We could do another pod on us in terms of Scottish players that we've missed out on. Very good link-up play. He's shown that he can do it at a high level. I know his conversion rate, etc., isn't great at Hibs in terms of goals scored in the league. I think that's a fair criticism to have. I think this would be a project striker. I don't think this would be one that could come in and start every week, but he would probably still rock up and be our best centre forward because he offers everything that the other three don't just now, to be brutally honest with you. He can finish left foot, right foot. He's got a physicality, he's got pace, he's got athleticism. He can link up with play, knows the league. It's one I would be all for, purely because of the potential he's got. And I think what we're trying to do when we do get the ball up front, we need somebody to hold it off. He could do that. He could hold a few centre halves off, which is what we
Hold
need.
it off, nay, bounce off them.
Yep, 100%. I would be all for the boy signing.
Aye, and I think just through what you're saying, that his conversion rate isn't the best. Looking at last season's, probably better than Desser's, in that he's 99th percentile for that. So let's have a look at Casper Ho. 24, under contract until the end of December 2029, and valued at 8 million. So I think this one might be a nice to have rather than a realistic target, but let's go through it anyway. 6'1". He played 19 games last season, 16 goals, 5 assists, which probably starts to explain his price tag. 29.1% conversion rate, 6.3 touches per 90 in the opposition box, 2.9 recoveries per 90, and an 80% passing rate. Scotty, I would argue this guy is probably the most complete that we've seen on this list so far. What do you reckon to that?
He is strong, pacey. He's got a very good finish. Can score from outside the box, inside the box. He can win you plenty of fouls as well. He's got a good turn of pace for such a big guy. The only thing I would argue back at you, Dave, is the level of football he's playing at yet again. I think for me, the Poulsen striker probably ticks all the boxes of the Croatian boy. I'm very wary, of what these guys have done when they've left Bodo and the impact they've made. And I've yet to hear about one of them actually doing anything when they've left Bodo.
Yeah, I think that's fair. As you say, we've seen quite a few players leave from Bodo on fairly decent fees that have then
Aye.
maybe flattered to deceive a wee bit when they've gone on to their new clubs. I don't know, they're just something about him, mate. I think 16 goals and 5 assists, it would be a risk. And again, at that price, you have to question whether it's realistic for us to be looking at. But yeah, someone with those stats equally can't be sniffed at. So that's actually the end of the
Cool.
strikers list, but we have got one wee Brucey bonus for you just at the end here. So, Scotty, thoughts on Bojan Miovski? So, before we get into it, obviously, Miovski, this is based on his time at Aberdeen, so it's the 23-24 season. We have got a follow-on slide showing his time at Girona since then when he got his move. Clearly, that hasn't worked out for him, and the radar doesn't look nearly as good. Now rumoured to be of interest to the Rangers hierarchy. So he's 25, 6'2", valued at 4 million.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. In that season for Aberdeen, he played 38 games, 16 goals, 2 assists, 16.5% conversion rate, which, given the amount of slaggings we gave Dessers, who had a higher rate, you do have to wonder about that. 4.1 touches in the opposition box per 90, 45% dribble success rate, and 2 recoveries per 90. Now, Scotty, just before I come over to you, I'm just going to pull up his Girona season as well. So, as I said, that radar shrinks significantly at that point. He only played 17 games last season and came away with 2 goals, 1 assist,
Mm-hmm.
80.2% conversion rate, 2 touches per 90 in the opposition box, 84% passing success rate, and 1.6 recoveries. Scotty, what do you make of the Bojan Miovski rumours? Are you in favour of that? Do you think it's an easy, lazy link? What's your thoughts?
I definitely think there is something in it. I mean, Sky are even reported that Rangers are interested, so I do think there's something to the rumours. Do I want him? Depending on the type of deal, I would like him for an option, not for the out and out striking berth at Rangers. I don't think he offers much in terms of physicality or how we want to play. Or I don't think he's a Russell Martin type striker. I think I would rather spend the money on Kieran Bowie, if I'm being honest with you, Dave, because I think he offers more and there's a higher ceiling there. Bojan Majowski,
I know.
he is a quality player, there's no doubt about it, but all I remember about his goals for Aberdeen was he was running into space every time he scored.
Yes. Yes. That's exactly what I was going to say. Whenever I'd seen him, for me, his best work was kind of running after balls played into the channel or balls over the top.
Aye.
And I mean, you know as well as I do, that's great for Aberdeen or a lot of these other sides. At Rangers, we rarely, especially domestically, have that space to play into and to run into because teams employ that low block. So would he be as effective in a Rangers side as he was for Aberdeen?
Doubt it. I doubt it. But I've been wrong about an awful lot of things in my life, Dave. This could just be another one that I'm wrong about. Honestly, I would have preferred other strikers within the league to Bojan Majowski.
Yeah.
And I've always kind of
Yeah.
sat on that boat, and I don't think I'm ready to quite come off it yet.
Yeah, I think I'm probably with you, to be honest, mate. I am absolutely not saying he's a bad striker because he's not. Is he what we need at this exact moment? Yet to be convinced, to be honest.
100%.
So, Scotty, forgetting Miovski, who we've basically both said now we don't want to sign him, from that list, who was your kind of favourite that you would love to see us sign if money wasn't an option?
The Pilsen striker or Kieran Bowie are the two that stand out for me. The Croatian boy is a very good option as well. There's just a romance regarding Croatian strikers and Rangers. And he does look a tidy player. I think he would come in and settle.
Yeah.
I don't think we've signed a bad Croatian in history in terms of Borna, Katic. Jelavic, Purcell. They've all been
Yeah.
they've all been pretty good. So that would be my top three. My top one would probably be the Pilsen striker if money isn't an option. If it's somebody to come in to suit Russell Martin's style of play and make an impact, I would probably go for Kieran Bowie. I would go and spend the money.
Yeah. Do you think Hibs would sell him to us?
If you offered them enough money, I think they would die. £4 million or
Just
something.
thinking the bloody, yeah, I'm just thinking the blooming Scotty Allen fiasco that we had with him, where we tried
Aye,
to sign
no,
him, but
I can understand that. But it's
yeah,
interesting all the same. There's plenty of strikers there that there's wee James sort of wee nuggets kicking it, like signings like Igga, man. I've got no qualms with signing players like that. I think we need to sign more of them if I'm being fussy, but we need a striker that can come in and do a job now.
yeah, I think again with this list, for me, I think Casper Hugh is probably the outstanding one, notwithstanding that it is obviously a risk because of the fee involved and the fact that you've got that kind of history with Bodo players. Do you know the one that I'd like to see come in as a project for would be that Miyashiro? I thought, it
Aye.
looks like he's kicked the arse out the J League last season. And again, it's a risk, but if that can translate to our league, it could be really effective for us. And I think, from what I've seen, that kind of movement is the kind of thing that Russell Martin would be very keen on as well. So that's it for the strikers today. Scotty, thanks very much for joining us. To everyone watching, if you have liked what you've heard, please do like and subscribe to the video. But for now, every night's a Rangers Journal night.